goodness. Oh my god. Not again. Yes? Svetlana, what? What do you want this time? I swear you were brought into this world to ruin my life. What was I doing? I was putting pistachio exfoliation cream on my visage. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and tell me what you want. Apparently I can't exfoliate my pores without being annoyed by you yet again. How do you what? The what? How do you eat artichoke? What kind of... Was this like an existential question? We had dinner like 2 hours ago. There's 40 people in the living room. Hang out with them and stop bothering me. Yeah. I don't know. You take the little leaves and start eating them. Yeah. It's not rocket science. This isn't Quest for Fire. It's just an artichoke. Now leave me alone. What? Say that again. Svetlana, I can't understand you. Amber? Amber is afraid of what? She doesn't want to tell me what? She broke my laptop? Which one? Okay. I have a lot of laptops. Oh my god. She broke it doing what? On the Pilates machine? Oh my god. Oh my god. Which, okay, not the one with the pictures of the mineral bath retreat in Liechtenstein. The nude one. No, not that. Not the one with the alpaca farm, the nudist alpaca farm. No. Okay, then just go ahead. And I'll take care of it. I'll send it to Shmuley's repair shop on 1st and Wilmington. I don't care. I don't care. No. No, not the one with the gerbil DVD. No. Yeah, it's probably that one. We'll have somebody take it in on Monday. Yeah, I'll pick it up next week, okay? What do you want from my life? Please, just go away. Just go away, yeah. Well, there's nothing on there, Svetlana. And Amber probably picked the only one. Was it the yellow or the... No, it was just, I put a... It was a silver one. Okay, that was the email. There are emails on there of work. Who cares? Work emails. Yeah, work emails. About money transactions. Who cares? Oh, my God. Yeah, so what? That's what everyone does. No one's going to care. Yeah, right. Yeah, the New York Times? I don't think so. Okay, yeah, CNN. Okay, no. It's normal, everyday things like hooking up my dad with business contacts all around the world. Who cares? Yeah. Wire transfer information also. Who cares? So what? Just take it to Shmuley's on the corner of 1st and Wilmington. Well, somebody will. I'll call Billy and wake him up. He has work in a couple of hours anyway. Wakes up at 6 in the morning. He'll do anything for me. Whatever. Leave me alone and let me exfoliate my skin. In peace. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a labor of love. What can I say? I know it's annoying. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. To the only person, Sam, the only person who enjoyed it, thank you so very, very much. to everyone, thank you so much. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526. That is my imitation of the wonderful and brilliant and talented Hunter. And you can kind of get a sense of that campaign is done. Okay, the campaign is done. It's not hyperbole to say, Keith, hello. It's not hyperbole to say, Mike, hello. It's not hyperbole to say the campaign is pretty much done. First and foremost, newborn quail. Shmulis's closed. Judge Janine Bureau for AG. Shmulis's closed. Newborn quail. Simon Hathaway Spurlock. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Eric and Luke, thank you so very, very much for being amazing moderators to my super chat. Thank you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, so I appreciate Simon, Newborn Quail, everyone here. Thank you. Okay. The emails are written by the vice president's son. This is number one. The emails are written by the vice president's son. That is a fact. Or let's put it this way. If the tables were turned, they would say without a shadow of a doubt, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump wrote the emails. So if the tables were turned, they would say Donald Trump is selling Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka Trump or Jared Kushner is selling the office of the presidency. And they wouldn't hold back, and they wouldn't try to cover up anything. And every single possible sentiment linked to suspicion or possibility linked to any suspicious, any questionable activity linked to the suspicion of frothing at the mouth and hysterical and rabid and apoplectic Democrats would be a legitimate story. They would have no problems. They would have absolutely no problems at all sharing, and not only sharing the story, but imagining every possible scenario where the vice president and his son benefited from the office of the vice presidency, and every possible scenario where it was a detriment to national security, or where it was a risk to national security or a threat to national security. So that's number one. It doesn't really matter. Like, nobody cares, and they're not handling this right. So I do not see Biden on November 3rd limping, stumbling, bumbling across the finish line. Already, President Trump is doing better than anticipated in terms of mail-in ballots. That can't happen for Democrats. So I think that, and I've been saying this forever, and my prediction still stands. Look, President Trump is going 8 years. He's going 8 years. That's number one. So I've been saying that for 4 years now. And it's not about it's not only about, okay, well, made the right call, because I made the right call on a whole bunch of, I called out the Steele dossier, said it was nonsense right from the very beginning, told you the Russia probe was nonsense, the Mueller probe was nonsense, impeachment was nonsense, and I was right the whole time. So the analysis is good. But you have to also ask yourself, okay, we're going 8 years. The Trump phenomenon or the Trump movement or the Trump train, it ain't stopping. They don't have the enthusiasm. They don't have any policies that they're running on. President Trump has reversed U.S. foreign policy. He's ended our involvement in quagmires. He's ending our involvement in quagmires. Rome wasn't built in a day. So he has spent, he didn't even have a presidency of his own until very recently. He was investigated based on absolute gossip, nonsense, opposition research that was purchased by Madam Secretary. I don't think it was to help Botox B. We had record low unemployment. He's the only president in American history to make and he to allocate more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any other president ever, and make that funding permanent. Then he signed the First Step Act. Then you have economic opportunity zones in distressed areas. These are things that, if you want to say, well, they're not helping, well, what have Democrats done? Democrats preside over, if you want to say, well, the pandemic, he botched the pandemic. Well, the places where the pandemic hit worst, the places that were decimated by the pandemic are run by Democratic Party politicians, Democratic governors. This is a fact. Democratic states have the highest fatality rate, and they have the highest aggregate number of lives lost. Then they try to, and Jonathan Swan's like, oh, well, you know what? It's true overall. The mortality rate is actually better than most countries, but I'm talking about as percentage of population. Well, other countries don't have de Blasio and Cuomo and Murphy and Whitmer. So, President Trump should have said that. He was being generous. He didn't want to throw anyone under the bus. But there was nothing that any other Democratic, there was nothing Clinton would have done differently, because look, if people say, well, she would have handled things differently, I don't know. Look at how New York and New Jersey and Illinois and Michigan and Pennsylvania, these have the highest unemployment rates, and they have the highest fatality rates, and they have the most lives lost because of the pandemic. So you tell me why a Democrat would do infinitely better. Furthermore, a president cannot tell a governor what to do. So this is that hasn't worked. They tried to impeach him. That didn't work. Before that, they tried to say he was a Russian operative. That didn't work. They tried to blame him for the pandemic. That hasn't worked. Now the national polling lead is dwindling. That was in the Post today. And it's actually everywhere. His Botox B, the polling lead, first of all, his campaign manager with ties to Clinton, stated that basically the polls are inflated. Obviously, there's no chance that he's 16 points ahead anywhere on the planet. Then there's the issue of President Trump within striking distance or ahead in swing states. This election is going to come down to Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Zero Manny! Thank you, H. I really enjoy your efforts. When you have the time, please do Hunter Man, because it's good. A little scary. Thank you so very. Zero Manny, thank you. My God. Thank you, Zero Manny. What I wanted to say in the beginning, Zero Manny, was if it was a laptop that had a DVD of a nudist colony alpaca farm in Liechtenstein, but it just didn't come out of my mouth correctly in the beginning. Zero Manny, thank you. Zero Manny, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. Old school dad, man. HA, they have said that for years already. Old school dad, man. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, because I don't know what I said, but old school dad, man, you are awesome. Thank you so very much. Zero Manny, you are absolutely awesome. Thank you for the kind words. Old school dad man, thank you. Thank you as always. I want you both to be here on November 3rd. But you have to also, when people say, like, are you going to admit you're wrong? H.A. Badman? I'm not wrong about us going 8 years, so can I just get a little love? Okay, and then it's not November 3rd. Okay? I'm like one of the extras on a Friday the 13th movie. I'm a former Bernie Sanders supporter. Okay? I'm not in a good position when it comes to, or let's put it this way, I know what happens at the end of this movie, or I know what happens during this movie. Okay? I'm just like one of the actors in a Friday the 13th or, Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Like one of the minor characters that always opens the door when he shouldn't. I'm the biggest. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Jane, thank you. I am not until November 3rd, when we win the election. I will not stop predicting that Madam Secretary is going to replace Biden. Because this cannot be happening. It cannot be. First of all, forget about the laptop for one moment. Forget about the laptop for one moment. Forget about the computer that was sent to Shmuley's repair shop on the corner of 1st and Wilmington in Delaware. Forget about that. Forget about the computer. Was there any reason to vote for Botox B? Before this? Was there any reason? I want to know, was there any reason to vote for him prior to this? For President Trump, I'm voting for a foreign policy. I'm voting for a great economy. I'm voting for prison reform legislation. I'm voting for somebody that goes after the people who tried to set him up and frame him. You cannot have that alone is enough to vote for President Trump. You cannot have intelligence officials going after a candidate. You can't have that. Setting up and framing a candidate. You can't have that. So, I mean, William Barr, also, that's another thing. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you want from this man? Rome wasn't built in a day. At least he didn't preside over a special counsel against Trump. Unfortunately, a great many good people got duped into trusting perhaps the worst Keebler elf of all time. Jeff Sessions is, in my view, worse than Pelosi. And honestly, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Jeff Sessions is worse than Clinton. Like, worse. And I'll tell you why. Clinton will stop at nothing. Okay? Always stop at nothing. That's just in their DNA. Oh my goodness, I'll stop at nothing. They're not going to just stop, and this can't be the only year in the history of the past, the only year in the past 30 plus years where the Clintons suddenly said, you know what, we're just going to give it to Botox B. He's been there a long time. Where they suddenly stopped where they didn't have this unbridled quest for political power. That can't be the case. But you have to ask yourself, was there a reason to vote for Botox B prior to this? What was the reason? With President Trump, you're voting for policies. You're voting for the opposite of a Lincoln Project foreign policy. And then you have this, I'll get to the scandal in a second, but they're like, well, Trump's kids are just as bad. No, they're not. Here's a scandal about hotels. There was a very respected journalist out there who helps run The Intercept, and very respected. And he was saying that, there's a conflict of interest with Trump's hotels, and foreign dignitaries are told to stay there. It's like, this is the scandal? This is supposed to be similar? This is supposed to be similar to, let me read this here. I think pressuring foreign parties with a stake in U.S. policy to stay and hold events in hotels that he owns. What? That's a scandal? Hiring his own daughter and her husband for key White House positions? He should absolutely do that because he trusts them. What's wrong with that? Oh, so Uma Abedin's better? Really? You mean the people who ran Clinton's private servers are better? Every single person that President Trump employs can be lured into a salacious story by the Washington Post or the New York Times. His family loves him. And I'm not this is not a diss. I'm not dissing anyone's family. And you know what? He's had a tough life. Okay, they've had tough lives, the Bidens. I actually feel bad for Hunter. I do. But you look at how he's lived his life and look at how Ivanka Trump has lived her life. She's done everything right. Look at how Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr., how do they have, I'm not dissing or judging. I'm just saying, do they have substance abuse issues? No. Are they selling access to the presidency? No. Were they rich before? Yes. Why do you think either the vice president or his son have made so much money? It's not because they own real estate. It's not because they were billionaires. While Jared does business in the Gulf, okay, so Bill Clinton never did business? What is that even? That there was Bill Clinton Inc. and pressuring you, and this is I have no clue. Pressuring Ukraine to give dirt on Biden? Dirt? What dirt? This is what I don't get. What is, when they say dirt, do they really mean dirt? Do they really mean incriminating controversies? I have not even, this is from a very respected journalist. So you mean to tell me that emails showing a not only this is a pay to play. This is the quid pro quo that everyone accused Trump of. And by the way, President Zelensky already stated that there was no pressure. And Rudy Giuliani has a sworn affidavit from Shokin, the guy who was fired, the prosecutor, stating that, there were corrupt motives all over the place. So, there are no scandals here. I want to type in Eric, Donald Trump Jr. meeting. There's nothing wrong with that. Because guess what? Pompeo apparently has all her emails. I'm typing Ivanka Trump controversy. President at center of Ivanka Trump's speech controversy? What? This was Ivanka Trump's speech controversy, suddenly we care about paid speaking endorsements? Are you kidding me? Or it's not even paid. Canceling a virtual speech. Oh, so it's not even about that. It was Wichita State. They canceled the speech. Revelations of vast consulting fees. Okay. Vast consulting fees threatened damage for Ivanka Trump. First daughter apparently took... Okay, so she took $750,000 from a Trump organization while she was simultaneously an employee from a Trump organization. Okay, so there's money funneling. There's money being funneled from PACs associated with AOC. So so she can't from a Trump organization, but Bill Clinton can get what a $500,000 or $1 million for his birthday, and that's okay. While his wife is Secretary of State? So when everything's morally relative, it's morally relative when it suits Democrats. There's nothing that compares, absolutely nothing that compares to this story. And anyone telling you otherwise is being either disingenuous or not looking at the facts. There is nothing to compare. And this is like not like complete apples and oranges when they talk. It's just Washington. It's just corruption. Vance Agarwal. Will you and Styx collab in the future again? I would love to. Either on the election night or a day after. I would absolutely love to. I'm gonna email him. And Rudy having access to Hunter's picks and possibly so much more is a peak at 2020. And Flynn, FBI director, would be put. That'd be amazing. Sidney Powell for AG. That would be amazing. The FBI director is going to be replaced. Trump has said that. Van Trigarwal, thank you so very much. Would love to. Styx, yes, was Crescent. You're 100% right. Six and Hammer was retweeted by the president, and that's pretty amazing. And major props. Major props to Styx. That was awesome. I listened to Tim Pool, Styx, Black Conservative Patriot, Anthony Bryan Logan, Brandon Tatum. There's so many. Steven Crowder is fantastic. Mark Dice is fantastic. I listen to some people sometimes on the left, but I don't want to bring up who they are because the left is like embarrassed of me, which is hilarious, which is just fine with me. Dean Diefendorf, Dean from South Beach. We are very disappointed. Dean, I think you might be referring to Bill Barr. The Durham probe hasn't ended. So, it hasn't ended. And also, think about it this way, everybody. Dean, everybody here, thank you, Dean. Think of it this way. Giuliani is doing all the heavy lifting right now before the election. Dean Diefendorf, Vance, thank you. Crescent, HA, absolutely no disrespect. Please consider making a video about Styx being retweeted by Trump. I will definitely consider that. By Trump, shows personal connection. Press has with a common man. Absolutely. Crescent, absolutely. That's what President Trump does. I love that. I love that. And notice, okay, Botox B doesn't even, not only does he not run his Twitter account, but he basically has nothing invested in this presidential run. There are no emotions invested. President Trump, you could tell, is battling a very corrupt system. Tim Pool talked about that today. You can tell that this is a very, very corrupt system that tries to distort and twist valid stories and amplifies stories with zero sourcing, no sources, and for example, the Atlantic article was about a conversation that is said to have taken place with no evidence at all. The New York Times article is about Trump paying $750 in taxes. They don't have his tax returns. So they don't have his tax returns. So it's like they don't have his tax returns, so they're not capable of making any categorical claim. Eric, hello. Luke, hello. So you have to ask yourself, number one, are the emails genuine? Yes. Number two, what do they show? They show actual... Again, this is something that they have never accused Eric, Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka, Jared. They have never accused either of them or Mike Pence's family of selling access. Sigma Nu UCLA. Newsom just signed. I have to Sigma Nu UCLA. Thank you. I have to look into that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that has to actually pass. Events. Oh, okay. Oh, it's to study and make recommendations. But that's what Democrats have been saying for a long time. That was just a bill to study and make recommendations. So it's a first-in-the-nation task force. Sigma Nu UCLA. It's like a task force, a research into how to potentially address that issue. But President Trump is actually like, it's interesting, Sigma Nu UCLA, all of the systemic injustices are linked back to Democrats. From the crime bill with a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity, a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity that Botox B is linked directly to creating. He's the one who helped write the 100-to-1 sentencing disparity. And I don't want to be mean again, but that his son, if his son lived in certain areas of the country in the 90s, and he was of the 100 instead of the 1, he would get the same treatment as people who suffered from the crime bill. A 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for the same narcotic that the vice president's son has been caught with. And it's the same type of narcotic as cocaine. So it's a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity. Do you realize a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for the same drug? Except a different name, and it's sold. If it's sold in different areas, then you are 100-to-1. The ratio is 100-to-1 in terms of how likely you are to get arrested, prosecuted for the same narcotic, illegal substance. And that's Democrats. Loud Citizen, Donald Trump has broken these people. Lying down. Charlie heard that. Coney Barrett's like lambs. They pretty much has. Amy Coney Barrett's fantastic, loud citizen, and they're trying to they're trying to disparage her or demean her. It's not working. It's not working at all. She's brilliant. She's very, very intelligent, and they can't go after her faith, which is what they tried to do initially. They can't go after her because they're going to lose votes. I mean, it's going to be a 6-3 Supreme Court going into the election, so good luck cheating, Democrats. They cheat all the time. I'm telling you, this is the MC Breed election. Ain't no future in your frontin'. They cheat all the time. There's no future in their cheating. Loud citizen, thank you. Jay Dillinger! H8, my question, how long did FBI have laptops? Since December. And said nothing. Chris Ray typing his resume after early be fired. Yeah, he'll be let go. Jay Dillinger. He'll be let go and he'll probably make a lot of money. My God. The most lucrative thing in the world, Jay and everybody here, is to be a former employee of President Trump. And oh my God, Comey has a book. He has a Netflix series. Oh my God. He's the Boy Scout. He's the Boy Scout. Don't you understand, everybody? He's the Boy Scout. Yeah. Oh, Comey's the Boy Scout. I've heard this before. It was nauseating. Somebody actually told me he's a Boy Scout. A Boy Scout? From Hades? From some kind of nefarious, otherworldly Boy Scout group. What does that even mean? So yeah, Jay, they had the laptop since, I think they took it from Shmuley's laptop repair, computer repair in Wilmington, on the corner of 1st and Wilmington. And they've had it since December. And they impeached Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, they impeached Trump. They had the evidence to show that Biden should have been investigated. I'm sorry, did they investigate Trump based on no direct evidence, but they don't investigate Botox B, the exhumed body, even though there's actually direct evidence? You're selling access. This is the issue. Jay Dillinger, thank you, Jay. Thank you. They had the laptop since December. They impeached Trump in the Senate. The Senate ended the whole thing in early February. They had it since December. They had all the information. And just on a side note, there are probably hundreds of copies. Like you hear Giuliani, 4 copies were made, 3 copies were made, 4 copies. No, there's hundreds of copies. The poor, computer repair person, poor man, made copies for himself. Giuliani said, he did so for his safety. That's what Giuliani said. But it's Jay, great point. Thank you so very much, Jay. Braden Spartan, Wolf House MMA. Sparring, wrestling, yes, and listening to how messed up the government is. Life is good. Keep up the good work, Trump 2020. Braden Spartan, thank you, Jay. Thank you. Braden Spartan, I can't wait. I was doing so well. I was 3 to 4 months of jiu-jitsu. I was just fine, just kind of trying. I could almost last against, last for 10 seconds against somebody, higher ranked than me. 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then, but I mean, where I was at, it was an amazing learning experience. And then when you roll with, a blue belt, for example, or any other higher belt, they didn't, as a white belt, somebody coming in, they actually taught you, everyone there would, they would go hard, but they would try to teach you. And it was great. It was fantastic. And then the whole pandemic thing hit. So, but once everything's normal in California, I'm going to go back. And it was such a was one of the most beautiful things. It was a beautiful experience. So, Wolf House MMA, sparring and wrestling. And listening to how messed up the government is. Braden Spartan, thank you. Jay, Braden, thank you so very much. Crescent. HA, this was a good idea. Avoid the alphabet and others espousing. Oh, yeah. Sticks mentioned this could be intentionally bad. Oh, I know. The LMNOP thing is just the most horrible thing. That's why I had that debate with Jordan Sather, like, in the beginning, end of 2018. And so I lost, like, a lot of subs, but I was happy because I'm like, look, if you're listening to me, like, you can't fall for a message board. You just can't do that. You can't fall for a message board. Crescent, thank you. Jay, thank you. Braden, thank you. But yeah, I mean, they had it in December, and the whole thing, like, this is, like, very difficult for them to understand. If a Democrat is linked to shady, corrupt activity, then why can't the government investigate this person the way they investigated President Trump? And then they're saying now, it's part of a disinformation campaign. Well, again, is the information accurate? Is the information genuine? Did good old Hunter write the emails? And you better believe, and I'm just speculating, I have zero clue, okay? Zero clue, but very likely you'll have emails coming out, very likely. I'm not saying I know, because I do not know. But judging how this is going, you're probably going to have information about money transfers. You're probably going to have information about future discussions of business. You're probably going to have information about policy. You're probably might have information about President Obama, because who's Biden's boss? Okay, Biden worked for President Obama. All of them were. When media tries to distance President Obama from Clapper and Brennan and Comey, do you think that the president doesn't know what his intelligence officials are doing? Of course he does. You think he didn't know, President Obama, that Madam Secretary had private servers with top secret intel? Of course he did. They know what's going on. They thought that they pretty much, they've almost gotten, they'll get away with it. They would get away with it if they won this election, but they ain't going to win this election. Okay, you cannot win as a Democrat without the Black and African American vote and the Hispanic and Latino vote. This is why I think Clinton is going to come in last second, because she can't be placing the hopes of Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, herself, all of them, on the sturdy shoulders of the bumbling, stumbling, exhumed body. But you can't win as a Democrat without high voter turnout among African American and Black voters and Latino and Hispanic voters. Clinton does better. Biden's doing worse than Clinton. And President Trump is gaining support. He's gaining support among key demographics that Democrats have relied on and taken for granted. They have taken for granted very, very loyal demographics. Okay? And it's the same with my ethnicity or religion. Same thing. Jewish Americans also vote 70% every election. Now you're going to see maybe 65 or maybe 67%. A lot more Jewish people are going to vote for President Trump. I know this. Not because I'm like, the king of... I'm just saying I know because President Trump has been amazing towards Israel. And he's combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. And if anyone disagrees with that, you can look up the organization, the IHRA, that I can't even say on YouTube because there's a word in there that's that you probably just can't say. So, the algorithm, but it's the IHRA's definition of anti-Semitism on college campuses. If you try to, if you're getting federal money and you engage, and you have professors or you have groups that try to engage in that definition, you're not going to get the federal funding. And so take it up with that organization, world renowned, and definitely under, and that organization, by the way, the IHRA, directly addresses the 1930s and 1940s Germans, which interestingly enough, the left thinks they're battling, which they would definitely be a part of, throwing books into bonfires. All they do is try to prevent thought, prevent any information. So President Trump is growing in popularity among all demographics. Look, you have to understand, I'm a lifelong Democrat, I was published hundreds of times in the Huffington Post, and in the election of 2016, which I relive every day, it's like I was in the Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, a great percentage of my articles went viral. I really believed, I was a lifelong Democrat, really believed that the left was just and on the correct side of history. And you have to understand, the mentality is, I truly believe that Republicans didn't care, and that they didn't, establishment Republicans, maybe it's true that they don't really care, but I always thought that Democrats were, the best option. And that at the end of the day, the Democratic Party is the best political party for the country. That's what I thought. And then slowly I began to see what the left does to itself. And then slowly I began to see the dysfunctional nature and how everyone turns on one another. Serge Lachance, hello. And then I said, wait a second, this is a cult. This is not healthy. This is not healthy. I need to get out. And let me tell you, I was thinking this for months and months and months and months before I said, that's it, I'm voting for President Trump. And when I decided to vote for President Trump, I knew that there would be people in my life that, because of their maniacal or apoplectic, or just because of, their belief that Trump represented this or that wouldn't want to be my friend anymore. Like, it's really sad, It's like, usually a friendship or a relationship or, a family member or whatever, it's like, usually that is supposed to span beyond politics, because President Trump's only going to go 8 years. You would think the bonds that you've had with people would last forever or would last a long time. But Danger, hello, thank you. You would think, Karen, thank you. You would think that the bonds that you have with your friends, people you've known for a long time, that would surpass politics. But that there are people who are completely delusional and apoplectic and seething, and they view Trump as infinitely worse than Bush, who objectively was either the worst or one of the worst presidents we've ever had. There was nothing in the Bush administration that worked out. Nothing. From foreign policy to economic policy, there's nothing lasting. That's why the Lincoln Project people were kicked to the curb by Trump. It took Trump 2 seconds It took Trump 2 seconds to end Jeb Bush's campaign. I don't know if people remember this, but for a moment, Jeb Bush was the front runner in 2015. Like in May of 2015, Jeb Bush was the front runner. I don't know if people remember this. Okay? But in May of 2015, Jeb Bush came in and like it was his turn. He was the smart Bush. Okay? He was the one who was supposed to have been president. Not his maniacal younger brother. And it took Trump like 3 seconds to completely dismantle. Then he went after Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and Rand Paul stood no chance. So, Jane, I agree with you. But you have to understand, like, the history of all of this is really interesting. The history of all of this, when President Trump first started, nobody thought that he would, and then early on, I knew. I'm like, look, you know what? I wrote an article saying only Bernie Sanders could prevent a billionaire from taking over the presidency. And it was put in the entertainment section of the Huffington Post. This was before the Huffington, this was like early on when the Huffington Post and other publications said, no, we're not going to take Trump seriously. He's going to be in like the entertainment section or the comedy section or whatever. And so then they realized, okay, he's going to win the nomination. But I was saying he was going to win the nomination. And then the NPR article is in 2015 that quotes me and Nate Silver in the same article. It's below in the pinned comment. I don't know if I told you. But President Trump, it didn't take him long. It didn't take him long to completely revitalize and completely transform the Republican Party. That's why you have the Lincoln Project, not only Lincoln Project people in liberal publications, but that's why you have liberals and Democrats forgetting conveniently that the Lincoln Project and the Bush administration ran on a marriage amendment. Okay? A marriage amendment. Karl Rove, well, he's not part of the Lincoln Project, but here, the Bush administration wanted a marriage amendment. They ran on in 2004. Bush backs ban. Okay, so they ran on that. These are the good Republicans. Then, of course, the foreign policy from Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. But see, liberals were vehemently against that not long ago. Now they've embraced that. Liberals care about words and public relations and image. They care about feeling like they do it with climate change also. They say the rhetoric never correlates with their actions when it comes to climate change. So it's the future of the planet. If you don't adopt every single policy they espouse, you are a science denier, and you're a big problem for the future of humanity. And then, in the same breath, President Obama says, the fact that we're energy independent is due to him. And if you look at CNN, President Obama presided over the largest expansion of domestic oil and gas production in the history of this country. Then the rebuttal from them is, well, our carbon emissions went down. You want to talk about carbon emissions? President Trump has the lowest carbon emissions like in decades in 2019. Crescent, Barbara Bush said. Jeff should not run. Trump 2020, Crescent. So, climate change is an important issue, okay? It's an important issue, but you can't pontificate if you're afraid to even vote on a Green New Deal legislation. What happened to this is a Green New Deal resolution. They always do these public relations stunts. This is how Democrats this is how they circumvent the issue of reparations. Oh, we're going to study the impact. Well, open up a history book, then decide. Everybody knows what's taken place. They cannot, look, they don't want to defund police. They don't want to abolish the Electoral College. They don't want to implement Medicare for all. They don't want to pack the courts. They don't want to pass a Green New Deal legislation. They don't want any of that. They don't want their own policies because they know their policies either aren't feasible or aren't popular throughout the country. So they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Meanwhile, they're not going to win the election because they spent too long talking about, Russian interference and da-da-da. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Russian interference is not a policy, and it doesn't generate enthusiasm. There's a better chance of Clinton running for president after the election on November 7th than Democrats passing Medicare for all. They're not going to pass Medicare for all. They don't want to pass Medicare for all. They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want a Green New Deal. That's why AOC and the progressives in Congress are the best thing that ever happened to President Trump, because they amplify policies that Democrats don't want and get disillusioned progressives or left-leaning people to say, okay, I'll just take a chance on Democrats again, because they hear, eventually you'll get it. We're going to complain, endlessly and get Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these establishment people to finally change their mind, because we're on social media and we're a pundit with $20 million in venture capital funding and PACs that pump out and fuel and fund these progressive politicians. And we're going to pontificate and we're going to judge everyone. And if you don't want Medicare for all, I guess you just like people losing their lives. And you know what? By the way, don't talk about the $20 million in venture capital funding that we have. And then Bernie doesn't even endorse him. He's like, oh, by the way, there's a wonderful, I endorse a pundit who, by the way, raised $20 million in venture capital funding. And then 3 days later, in typical Bernie style, you know what? I have to unendorse based on some writing that I don't agree with. So my word is worth a discarded prophylactic found on the ground. That's what my promise is worth. So I'm not going to endorse this gentleman who has, by the way, helped me out tremendously. But you know what? That's what we do when we are on the left. They are They are completely duplicitous. And here's the reason I'm going to continue to say Clinton, because I do believe that Clinton's going to come in last second. But there's this belief that it's too late. That Madam Secretary, why would it be too late? George Rivera Jr. Glad to see you are still here, HA. Many out there are gone out. Yeah, and that's George Rivera Jr. I'm just trying to always stay below the radar. George Rivera Jr., thank you so very, very much for always supporting and being here. Thank you, George Rivera Jr. Please be here November 3rd. It's going to be awesome. George Rivera Jr., thank you as always. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just, in 2016, you could pretty much report on what was taking place. Then they realized the truth about them was like a huge national security risk. So now you just have to stay below the radar. I want to party with everyone, and we will party on November 3rd. You have to vote early, ladies and gentlemen. Like, that's important. That's important. You have to vote early, and don't, make sure, just wake up that day saying, I'm not waiting in line. I'm just going to get there so early, because there's probably going to be a half an hour at least line, even if you get there 20 minutes, 30 minutes early. So, depending on where the polling station is. So, but, yeah, I mean, you have to vote early. You have to just vote early. And I think that the enthusiasm that naturally exists for President Trump, because he fights a very corrupt system. See, Democrats are interesting. They've presided over the worst outcomes pertaining to the pandemic, yet they pontificate the most. Then they have the audacity to cheer when President Trump tested positive, but it's like, well, you're presiding over the worst. P. Ramos! Thank you, P. Ramos. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. P. Ramos, thank you. George Rivera Jr., thank you. P. Ramos, thank you so very, very, very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, P. Ramos, thank you. Thank you so very, very much, as always. Greatly appreciated. It's kind of like we are in... I've used this analogy for a long time, but we are in the first inning, we're in the third inning of a 9-inning ball game. So P. Ramos and George Rivera Jr. and everybody here, it's the third inning. It's the third inning. They say, well, it's too late. Clinton can't come in. Why not? Anything can happen and they'll justify it. Look what's going on right now. There's correspondence that show P. Ramos and George and everybody here. There's correspondence that actually show that they were selling the office of the vice presidency, and people were like, "Oh well, it's not that big of a deal." PJP72. How do you see affecting the election if mainstream won't talk about it? That doesn't matter. PJP72. It doesn't matter. That's even worse. Or legitimize it as anything but a smear campaign. That's even worse. That's even worse for Democrats. that ends Biden's campaign, and then also paves the way for Madam Secretary 3, 4, 5 days before the election. PJP 72, that's worse. Look, they're not going to win the election. So at the end of the day, I will have gone 2 straight elections, accurately predicting, fine. But I mean, the analysis that I've provided is pretty spot on throughout the past 2 years. I haven't been right about everything, but it's pretty spot on. But at PJP 72, it doesn't matter. The more, you know that Morrissey song, The More You Ignore Me, the closer I get? The more you ignore me. It's like, the more you ignore me, the closer I get. That's the media, that's President Trump. The more you ignore me, the closer. And so, that's President Trump. TXP! TXP, thank you. Thank you, TXP, thank you. TXP, thank you. PJP72, P. Ramos, George, thank you. PJP72, it doesn't matter. They don't have to. The more that they try to ignore the story, the more it's amplified. You cannot ignore this because there's going to be almost certainly discussion of money, discussion of policy, discussion of more meetings, discussion of who knows what. I mean, and they're not like Rudy Giuliani has stated 10 days before the election, they're coming out with so 10 days before the election would be what? In a couple of days or a week or so. A week and a half. So it's only going to get worse. What I'm saying right now is, if you watched Tim Pool today, and Sticks also, but Tim Pool basically has a segment saying Biden's campaign's done. Everyone pretty much knows that his campaign is done. There's nothing like he can't do anything else. There's nothing he can do at this point to rebound. He doesn't really even campaign. He doesn't answer any questions. He's
like a little newborn baby quail. He's Biden. Mwah, baby quail. Here's a little droplet full of milk for the Biden campaign. I treat you like a little baby quail. Give him a kiss. Media and New York Times. Hey, caress the baby quail. Fly, Botox beep.
boom. It's not. They don't. It's not even a campaign. It's not even a campaign. Like they're just trotting out somebody to say he's better than Trump, and now we're finding out that not only is he not better than President Trump, but he is far more corrupt than we could ever have imagined. And again, when you have, and this is something the media and Democrats don't understand, they'll lose this election. It doesn't matter who, the Hawaiian Tropic model is, analogy or metaphor or analogy is, you cannot tell your wife, you cannot go like, it can't be like, what are you doing? Excuse me? There's 10 Hawaiian Tropic models in our bed. Okay, our neighbor has ties to Russian intelligence, and I bet you that his name is, his name is Vladimir. Is there any coincidence? And he told you to open the door while I was here with nobody has clothes on, with 10 Hawaiian Tropic models in our bedroom. What are you even talking about? This marriage is over. So you want to give Putin exactly what he wants, huh? Okay? So what you're seeing now is exactly what Putin wants you to hear. So, again, who are you working for? Maybe you're part of Russian intelligence. See, this is what Democrats do. They're like completely delusional. Any actual information that shows they're corrupt or breaking the law, they just say, well, the Russians want you to know. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Who wants you to know what? The issue is the information accurate? Was the correspondence written by the vice president's son? Yes or no? Luke, thank you. Was the information written by the vice president's son? Yes or no? That's all you have to answer. That's all that counts. Oh, well, we're investigating a disinformation campaign. It's not disinformation, it's information. And you can't type an email. Democrats can't type an email without it being the end of the world for them. They're so utterly corrupt and incompetent. They have every possible advantage. MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, every Twitter, Facebook, every social media, every Hollywood, every sports league, music industry, and they still can't win an election. Why? Because they live in cyberspace. They have something called, I'm not the first person to talk about this, but it's like this social credit score. This social credit score. Styx has talked about this, and they have a social credit system. It's basically, it's in communist countries, but this is a cyber credit. It's like a cyber social credit system, or it's like a social credit score you get. You get points. Your worth in society, according to liberals, is inflated, or it's like a credit score, like a financial score, but for society. If you say Trump is the worst, we live in a dystopian world with an authoritarian, an orange monster, you get retweeted 1,000 times, you get friends, you get shared, liked. You're part of this group of people who appreciate your vantage point because their lives revolve around telling the world how bad Trump is, even though he's actually a very good president. He worked with Russia, according to these people. He pressured Ukraine. He speaks to supremacists subliminally. He hasn't condemned them, enough after 50 times. He said both sides, even though that day he actually condemned the one side that they claim he was speaking to. But you get this like social credit score that increases every time you dislike Trump. And people, you can't even wear a Make America Great Again hat. You can't wear anything to do with, because they've convinced themselves that it's bigotry. It's not, but they've convinced themselves. That's why when they lose the election, they're not going to know what to do. They're going to completely be dismantled. You have the Democratic Party lives in cyberspace. You take away Twitter, there is no Democratic Party. What do they stand for? You have different factions and different groups that can't stand one another, but they're all under one wonderful tent. So when they lose on November 3rd, the Medicare for All people will be blamed. They'll blame the liberals, the I'm With Her crowd. The I'm With Her crowd will blame the Medicare for All people. The identity politics people will probably blame the Bernie Sanders people, or they'll blame who knows who. Maybe Some will blame the Democratic Party. Most will blame the far left or the Bernie Sanders people. The Rose Twitter, that's all a mix of a whole bunch of anarchists or whatever. That's a whole mix of people, socialists. They're all going to turn on each other. Then you have the climate change people. Then you have they're all going to turn on each other. Then you have like Hollywood, which is its own dysfunctional world. Everyone's going to offend one another. Oh my God, you said this. How dare you? It's going to be this collapse, this cyber collapse. I saw it on a smaller scale when Bernie Sanders had to officially drop out and endorse Clinton, which, by the way, he said he was going to go into a contested convention. But see, that's one of the many things he said that never took place. And the knock on me on the left is hilarious. They're like, oh yeah, how Bernie could still win. Oh, it's like, no, after the July 5th Comey cover-up, I never said that. So, whatever, it doesn't matter. After July 5th, 2016, statement by FBI director, July 5th, 2016. After that, I never said Bernie would win. But he was the only chance to defeat President Trump. Now, I know people disagree with me, but I'm telling you, I think Bernie Sanders, in a world where media was not so in the tank for Clinton and the Democratic Party, in a world where it was like, the world we were used to, where it was a fair and neutral primary, because Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. They would have won Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin if it was unified. Bernie Sanders would have won the presidency if he wasn't cheated in the primary. Now, I know people disagree with me, but you have to understand something. Before you disagree with me, 900 people here, Bernie Sanders of 2016 was not the Bernie Sanders of 2020. Bernie Sanders of 2016 had crossover appeal to conservatives. So he was much more of a populist message pertaining to foreign policy and other issues. But again, I was saying that President Trump was going to defeat Clinton in 2015. Nobody listened. But you have to. You look at the Democratic Party when they lose on November 3rd. It could be very scary. It could be frightening. It could be, and let me tell you something. You are going to see more people leave the Democratic Party. You are going to see more people leave the Democratic Party on November 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, because they're going to say, oh my God, we lost again. Then the blaming and the infighting will take place. Then within the factions, infighting will take place. And they're going to get ruthless. And they're going to go after each other. They're going to go after each other's businesses. They're going to go after each other's reputations. You'll have diss videos. It'll be bad. Thank God I'm not on the left. What pundits will blame each other. It'll be the whole thing. It'll be like, let's put it this way. It'll be 2016, but far more chaotic. Because they don't have policies they all agree on. Every Trump supporter agrees we have to reverse U.S. foreign policy, bring home Americans, and counterinsurgency conflicts, and interventions, and regime changes. There's not one Trump supporter who doesn't believe this. Okay? There is nothing that binds all Democrats. Nothing. I guess you could say maybe one or two, typical Democratic Party issues. But there's nothing. You want to talk about climate change? Democrats would never vote on a Green New Deal. Kamala Harris and Botox B, they don't want the Green New Deal. They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want to defund police. They don't want to abolish ICE. They don't want to abolish the Electoral College. They don't want to pack the courts. They don't want to do anything. What do they want to do? They don't want to do anything the left wants. They want no policies that everyone on the left wants. They're talking about the ACA. Bernie Sanders supporters want Medicare for all. So Rose Twitter wants Medicare for all. They're not happy with the ACA. You might as well just have, President Trump keep. Oh, by the way, that's another lie. He would keep the pre-existing conditions clause. That's the most important part of the ACA. PJP 72. My big concern is if the voters never hear about it, how will it affect them? But they will, especially at 14 million. They will. They will. PJP 72. It's like, they will. PJP 72. They will, because you can go look at Steven Crowder's videos. How many views? Fox News. Mark Dice, Tim Pool, Sticks. Go look at how many views they have. I run primarily my live streams, and then I'm going to do an upload after this. So be here after this. And by the way, to the 921 people, if you want to be part of a newsletter, my website's coming out this week. So it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. I'll be sending out a newsletter from that website. It's going to be awesome. And it's basically going to be like a notification system to let you know, like, when my uploads, when my live streams, when my next article is. But they will. PJP 72. There's like a million views. People are getting, with big platforms, 1 million views when it comes to this story. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone is talking about PJP 72. They're talking about it throughout the country, especially in swing states. And they've sold. This is why Clinton's going to come in last second. And if she doesn't, they lose decisively. We still party. And the people who will be like, admit you were wrong. Admit you were wrong. You party with me on November 3rd. We party, yeah. And then, we can talk about it then. But I won't be wrong. Clinton will replace Biden because they can't be that inept. She gives them a chance. She does better among African American and black voters and Hispanic and Latino voters than Biden. And Biden has no enthusiasm. And Botox B, the exhumed body, has no organic base of voters. Nobody on the planet has ever said, I think Joe from Scranton would make a great president. That has never happened. It has never happened before. It has never happened. Do you understand? It has never happened. Okay? Now, I will say this. Look, I have to be fair. Bernie Sanders would have won the Democratic primary this year if not for Elizabeth Warren and if not for them cheating him in Iowa. He still would have lost. He would have lost this year to President Trump, no doubt. No doubt. Because Democrats don't want his platform. But if he had crafted a message that resonated, that was where he could explain or convey was realistic to voters in the South. Or if he had won Iowa, it would have been he would have won Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. And then he would have been inevitable and not just, on the way to the people who were saying, oh, he's going to win the nomination. I've been saying Clinton is going to be there on the ballot November 3rd forever. I still think that. But this actually, Bernie Sanders, I don't think he'll still have that base of support anymore because he's totally in the tank now for the establishment, and everybody knows this. There's not one person that still doesn't know this. But Bernie Sanders is the only person in the Democratic Party that had a truly had enough enthusiasm to really make a dent, to really give Trump a challenge. So, Biden was fourth or fifth. No, he was fifth in New Hampshire, either fourth or fifth in New Hampshire. PJP 72. You have to ask yourself, if somebody told you don't listen to that music, don't listen to punk music, don't listen to the Ramones, or don't listen to Eazy-E if you're into rap music, don't listen to 2 Live Crew. Love 2 Live Crew. Love. They need to make a comeback. I mean, a couple. One has passed away, but oh my God, love 2 Live Crew. The one thing this culture needs now is 2 Live Crew. That's the one thing we need. My God Almighty. God bless them. They were the best. One of the best. That's what we need now. That's what we need in this culture. In our messed up world. We need 2 Live Crew to save us from the Democrats and from, self-righteous liberals. But New Hampshire. This is Helmut Norpoth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was fifth in New Hampshire. He got 29,000 votes. Okay? You know who defeated him? Bernie Sanders got 70. By the way, they don't want to do away with the electoral. They want to do away with the Electoral College, but they don't want to do away with their state primaries. Why is that? Exactly. CG3SSF. Exactly. Banned in the USA. Why is it the Democrats want to abolish the Electoral College, but they want their own state primaries, and they don't even go by popular vote in their maniacal, absurd, warped Iowa contest with different alignments? The whole thing's rigged beyond belief. Bernie got 76,000 votes in New Hampshire. Mayor Pete got 72,000. Amy Klobuchar. I would rather paint watches Amy Klobuchar dry. That's how boring it is to listen to the Minnesota senator. Amy Klobuchar got 58,000 votes. Okay? Elizabeth, thanks for running. Wow, that's fantastic. Thanks for endorsing me in 2016. If it wasn't for Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders would have run away with it. I mean, absolutely run away with it. She got 27,000 votes. Okay, Biden got 24,944 votes, almost 25,000 votes. Fine, big deal. 25,000 votes in an open primary where anyone could vote. Any Republicans could vote for you. Independents could vote. You don't have to be a Democrat in the New Hampshire primary. You don't have to be a Democrat in the New Hampshire primary. He got 5th place. And the Helmut Norpoth's primary model, the Stony Brook professor, who's predicted like 22 of the past 23 elections. His model has predicted 22 of the past 23 elections. Goes with the initial primaries to quantify enthusiasm. The later primaries that Biden won over Bernie Sanders, those were formalities. Because the only thing stopping Bernie Sanders from winning the entire thing, well, first of all, they cheated him. Second of all, Elizabeth Warren was there specifically. Like, Trump is right. He's the only. Trump is more of a progressive than the progressive politicians. Bernie should have said, you know what? This is ridiculous. Why is she running? And then they would have said, oh my God, you don't want her to run. Oh my God, you said a woman couldn't win. Then she lied and then said Bernie Sanders said that a woman couldn't win. I mean, my God, like the Atlantic article, they pulled on Bernie before they pulled it on Trump. But in the beginning, Warren took votes away from Sanders. Then at the end, the Warren voter was more establishment and said, no way, we'll never vote for this misogynist or we'll never vote for this person or whatever. They have something up their sleeve. It gets worse and it will get worse for Botox B. They have Plan B. I don't believe that Madam Secretary has a podcast. She didn't go from possibly being the most powerful woman in the world 4 years ago, buying a dossier, literally purchasing it to go after her direct political rival for 4 years, and then suddenly has a podcast. And they're going to give the future of the Democratic Party to a Tales from the Crypt who doesn't know where he is half the time, who will lose decisively. Because any momentum this man had, which wasn't much because the polls were completely fabricated, is now being completely swept away by correspondence that proves he was selling his office. PJP 72, hip hop hooray! PJP 72, thank you. That was great. Great group also. Naughty by Nature. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, like, you can't. And then look at Iowa. They didn't go by the popular vote in Iowa. If they did, Bernie Sanders would have won that one also. Okay, they completely cheated this man again in 2020, and it's unbelievable how they because the popular vote, Bernie won. Then they gave it to Mayor Pete. Then in a very bizarre, I'm looking here, it says Biden won. What are you talking about? That is really, I don't know what they did there. It shows they showed Biden winning, which is hilarious because he only got 6 delegates in Iowa. So Wikipedia shows Biden winning, which is very bizarre. You talk about 1984. You talk about this is just so bizarre, okay? But it's thankfully documented everywhere. Christina! I'm trying to pronounce your last name correctly. Holshoe. Christina, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Christina. Thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Christina. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to Wikipedia, they show Biden winning Iowa, which is really hilarious because the man finished 4th in Iowa. So they've yet again tried to rewrite history because they're afraid of their own primary. They don't believe. They just do not believe in their own nonsense. They don't even believe in their own nonsense. That's why you call them on their actual value system. You get nothing. It was Bernie Sanders, it was Pete Buttigieg, then Bernie Sanders, then Elizabeth Warren, then Joe Biden. And Bloomberg was competitive also. Or no, actually not. He got 16 votes. No, Amy Klobuchar was competitive. Amy Klobuchar almost had more votes than Biden. There's more people who want Amy Klobuchar than Biden, really, in the Democratic Party. And then she didn't want to win Minnesota. So you explain that to me. I want to know why Klobuchar didn't want to win Minnesota. Somebody tell me why she left she ended her campaign right before Super Tuesday. Hal, thank you. Wasn't 35 35-mile-long Trump train in Arizona today. Epic. Nice. Hal. Thank you, Hal. Thank you. Christina. Thank you again, Christina. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. I want to know why Mayor Pete, who could have gotten hundreds of thousands of votes from California, I want to know why he didn't want to build a foundation for a future presidential run. I want to know why Amy Klobuchar, a day before Super Tuesday with Minnesota, her own state, didn't continue her presidential campaign. It's almost as if they weren't there to actually run. It's almost as if they were just simply there to knock Bernie Sanders eventually out of the way. Look, Bernie Sanders is part of the establishment he claims to fight. Okay? The man is a good human being. God bless him. I don't have anything like truly bad to say other than he's a human doormat and he doesn't fight. At Clinton, I will say, Hillary Clinton, I will say fights. And I give her that. So in that respect, I respect her more than Bernie Sanders. Bernie does not fight. He will never get... There's a better chance of Hillary Clinton becoming the Democratic nominee on November 20th than Democrats passing Medicare for all, because they never will. They will never pass Green New Deal legislation, Medicare for all. They're doing this to deceive the left, so the left doesn't leave them forever. Because the left, if they were smart, could simply join the Green Party, which is... I mean, if you're on Rose Twitter, why don't you join the Green Party? I don't get it. That's it. They want exactly what you want. Or start your own party. Then you say, well, it'll never happen. I mean, you can't win that way. Yeah, but you could leverage the Democrats and say, look, pass this Medicare for all bill, we'll vote for you. But they won't do that, because then they'll be seen as Trump supporters and Russian operatives. So... I agree with you, Aunt Jenny. I'm just saying that, like, he has his... In the mind of Bernie Sanders, he's probably like, I gotta play ball with the establishment because I have to remake the Democratic Party to make it more progressive. But that will never happen. That's public relations. AOC is the best gift to President Trump. The best gift. Because what she does is funnel progressive and left-leaning votes into the Democratic Party, a political party that has zero interest in ever engaging in any of the policies, ever passing Medicare for all, Green. They don't want to defund police. They don't want to defund. They don't want to abolish the Electoral College. They don't want Green New Deal legislation. They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want to pack the courts. They don't want anything the left wants. Nothing. But with AOC and with progressives, politicians in Congress, you get like, oh yeah, you know what? You know, a lot of people are suffering. We need Medicare for okay. And then you get, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 1 million retweets. And oh my God, one of these days the Democrats will realize, right? Never. Are you kidding? Never. They're not going to run on doubling to tripling tax collection, which is what the Mercatus study said. And they're simply not going to run on anything to do with raising taxes. And then your premiums are... Well, yeah, but not everyone has the same premium, genius. And you're not assured of the same medical care that exists. And a lot of people want their employer-based insurance. So, if it's feasible, that's one thing. It might not be feasible. If it's feasible, then the issue is that the Democratic Party just simply doesn't... Like, if people truly believe that lives are being lost because Democrats will not pass Medicare for all, then who's the problem, Trump or Pelosi? Okay, obviously it's the Democratic Party. Obviously it's the Democratic Party who is acknowledging that lives are lost, and they don't care. And then you have the left that thinks that they're going to annoy the Democrats to the point of capitulation, which will never happen. They don't care how many times a left-leaning person is retweeted. They don't care about the moralizing or the preaching or the sermons or the pontificating. I just want to let you know, if you don't have single payer, Pelosi doesn't care. That's not the way they work. The Democrats know exactly how to manipulate their voters. They know exactly how to manipulate their voters. And the voters want to be manipulated. That's why, the only way to truly change the Democratic Party is simply not vote Democrat. And say, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then, but you'll be a Russian puppet and you'll be a bigot and Trump is a supremacist. And it's like, no, he's not. And number one. Number two, keep saying that, you'll never have my vote again. That's the mentality that should take place. By the way, that's the mentality I had in 2016, that people who the $20 million venture capital people are slowly trying to, some of them capitalize on. See, I always do things when it's not cool or hip or whatever, because I don't care. But, Rusty, hello. But, you look, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no way that they're really serious about, there's no way they've ever been truly serious about Biden. I just can't see it. I don't trust them. And the only chance they have right now, and this is going to be hilarious, is for a person viewed to be even less corrupt than Botox B, which would be Clinton. So Clinton would be viewed as less corrupt. That's where the Democratic Party is at right now. And she would actually be viewed as less corrupt because she's been on the down low for, a month, 2 months now. Every once in a while she'll be like, oh, Trump is horrible. But I find it very interesting that Madam Secretary wrote a Medium article saying Biden should be president, which is hilarious, or commander-in-chief, and hasn't said one word the past 3 or 4 days on the most widely talked about story that is apparently Russian disinformation, where the disinformation are accurate emails. Only Democrats would say these accurate emails are disinfo. It's like, no. If they were written by the vice president's son, they can't be disinfo because they were written by the vice president's son. Well, that meeting never took place. Then are you saying that they made up, that people just write emails making things up? Thank you for the meeting with your father. Signed, businessman who should not have had that meeting with the vice president and the vice president's son. So this was made up? What about the other emails? A trove of emails. There are thousands upon thousands. That's why when I do my shtick, it's just, that's kind of his mentality. He left a laptop at a computer repair shop. This is similar to when Madam Secretary's Bill Clinton's team mailed a laptop in the mail that had classified intel on it. These people are like either completely clueless or they're lying, or both. And again, it's Giuliani said, Mayor Giuliani said, oh, well, there's been 4 copies. There's probably 400 copies. Probably 400 copies. Could you imagine Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr.? Could you imagine if it was like, oh, thanks, I'll meet my father, the President Trump, thank you for the meeting, thank you for the money, thank you for, let's talk about future meetings where you can gain access to Mike Pence. Let's just, apples to apples. Let's just say it was, you know what, thank you, and I look forward to brokering another deal with Mike Pence. Signed Eric Trump. Signed Donald Trump Jr. Thank you, businessman from, numerous countries. Businessmen from numerous countries. I look forward to brokering more deals so you could meet Vice President Pence. And guess what? I will give him a cut of the money. Josh, thank you. Josh, thank you. I will give him a cut of the money. Signed, Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, Ivanka. So, I mean, it's like, when do you simply say, we don't care who, what country benefits from this, which it's absurd that Russia would benefit because Trump provided lethal aid to Ukraine and President Obama did not. So I don't know why they try to say that Trump is Putin's puppet. Or it's a bunch of nonsense. Oh, he cozies up to dictators. Well, he cozies up to authoritarians. What are you talking about? You're supposed to try to, for example, President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because he was the first president ever to step foot in North Korea. This is a monumental moment in human history. President Trump and his administration and Jared Kushner, presided over deals, peace and economic deals between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Serbia, and Kosovo. So how is this a bad thing? What, the Bush administration is better? The Lincoln Project people who presided over chaos and mayhem? Oh, I'm sorry, destroying Libya is better? We came, we saw, yeah. That's why, look, it doesn't even, I'm even going to give them ideas. Look, Tom Perez, very simple. Leader of the DNC, leader of the Democrats. Mr. Perez, very simple. Just have a meeting and say that, you need to make a change. And everyone will just say, fine, yay, great, first woman president, we can still have it. And you increase turnout not exponential, but you increase turnout by a sizable margin. And then I'll be a tiny bit worried, to tell you the truth. I would be a little bit worried. She has a chance to actually win. She comes in last second as the savior, and Democrats fun of Alex Secretary. Oh, thank you, Lord, that we don't believe in God, that it doesn't even exist. But whatever, thank you. Oh my God. Do you understand? Hollywood. You would have producers in Hollywood saying, if you don't vote for Clinton, you will never work in Hollywood again. I mean, so you have a situation where it is only going to get worse, okay? It is only going to get worse. Don't look at the numbers on this channel because my numbers are pedestrian. I have my live, it's hard to get live streams to go viral, and I have it's pretty good, 1,000 people in the evening. My live streams do quite well for a channel my size. So I'm doing well, thank God, on this channel because of my viewers and people who support the channel. So I have the best base of viewers, really I do. Pound for pound, I'm like the Floyd Mayweather of YouTube channels. So we do very well on a 1 p.m. live stream, 9 p.m. live stream. I have an upload right after this, and then I have H.A. Goodman's other channel. So, but go look at the numbers on this story for. Go to Steven Crowder's channel. Go to Mark Dice. Go to Tim Pool. You see close to, go to Fox News. You'll see close to 1 million views for one segment on this. For one segment. You have Steven Crowder interviewing Giuliani. So, and it's only going to get exponentially worse because if they start talking about payments and money, it's game over. It's game over. If you put a dollar amount in any email, game over. It's game over. So, and then you have, oh my God, how can this survive? Then you have one article in the New York Times, one article in the Washington Post. What if we replaced Biden with Clinton? Oh my God, it's too late. No, really? Is that even possible? Well, the electors in the Electoral College, they'll vote for the last person standing. What if we just, oh, you can't do that. This is impossible. Why can't you do that? You just found, correspondence that says that the vice president's son, it's like, Mad Libs, just fill in whatever you think is the worst thing possible for that campaign. It'd probably come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. Whenever Giuliani wants to, they'll talk. The New York Post. You think they're not going to publish any more articles? And so, you think they're not going to then you have Amy Coney Barrett being confirmed. I mean, this is like the end of the Democratic Party. They're not going to win on November 3rd. Even Botox B's campaign manager said that the polls are inflated. Of course they're inflated. Of course they're inflated. That's 16 points up on what planet? Is there a base of exhumed bodies in swing states that are suddenly like zombies? They'll come out of the grave and vote? Because you're talking about a candidate who looks like Tales from the Crypt. So we have a story where the vice president's son is literally brokering deals and hooking up his father with a commission. Okay? Now, what if President Obama is implicated? What if other people? What if there's an actual dollar amount talk? What if they're haggling over a price? It's game over. Game over, man. Game over. Like Aliens 2. Game over, man. So, and it's not like, and they're like, it's the same typical corruption. No, it's not. No, it's not. How many did Eric Trump sell Mike Pence off to other countries? No, he didn't. When people say it's just the same, it's kind of like, I played baseball in high school, so therefore I'll be in the Hall of Fame, in the Major Leagues Hall of Fame. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It's not all the same. You could play baseball in high school or even college, or maybe even 1 year in the pros, but you're not going to make the Hall of Fame. Lyle, bud. HA all the way. Thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Lyle, bud. Thank you. Greatly appreciated, Lyle, bud. Thank you. Lyle, bud. Thank you. Very, very much. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Thank you, Lyle. Ladies and gentlemen, Lyle, everyone here, P. Ramos, everyone here, George, everyone, thank you so very much, everybody. Be here tomorrow at 1 p.m. I have a segment right now on this channel. And Christina, thank you. Everyone here, thank you. I have a segment right now. So check this channel in about 5 minutes, about 10 minutes. I have an upload. And be here at 1 p.m. tomorrow, everyone. Eric and Luke, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say, people say, oh, your prediction didn't happen. It is not November 3rd. I am going to tell you, I'm the only person on planet Earth telling you that at the end of the day, Madam Secretary is going to save the Democratic Party and eventually lose again to President Trump. But she can make it a lot closer. And there's a possibility she could win, too. No possibility Biden could. If they are so inept, they go with Biden, they ain't winning. So, and they wouldn't win. They won't win when Madam Secretary takes over for Biden, but she would make it closer, much closer, because the enthusiasm would increase. It's going to get worse. And we haven't even seen the beginning of how bad it's going to be. So, they have one person to say that, and it's from day one, ladies and gentlemen. It really, I don't think they were ever serious about Botox B. But give me your thoughts below. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Have a great, great evening. Lyle, thank you. Vicissitude, thank you. I try to be rational. Hi, buddy. Been following at least as long as the Clinton predictions. Thank you. I try to be rational. Thank you. Thank you. I try to be rational. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Lyle, I try to be rational. Everybody here, I'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. and be on this channel in about 10 minutes, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Luke and Eric, thank you.